All right, I'm frozentrually, and this is Teslagrad. It's yeah, I guess I'll explain more about it throughout especially since the first like 2 minutes of the game are mostly me holding right and pressing A, much like Super Mario Brothers One. But are we good to go? All right. And 3, 2, 1, go. So I'm going to start off the game with a slightly awkward lean forward and reload. That skips over a intro cutscene, 30 seconds. That's just kind of pointless to actually have in the run. This is a 2D puzzle platformer style game, largely centered around magnetism. And for this first section, we'll pretty much just be jumping around this city and going into the tower. There's 2 tricks in this section. The first one is right here, and it's a late jump that allows us to get onto these scales and not have to go down into that ravine type area and climb onto the vines, which loses like 7 seconds or so. These guards are chasing us for a pretty unknown reason. The idea is that the king thinks that we're out to kill him, which we are. We're going to kill him. But he's sending his goons after us because some prophecy about me killing him. It's unclear because this story is all told through background and little plays throughout the game. The second trick of this is coming up, and it's something that we call a bounce. And we'll be using those bounces throughout the game in different effects. With this one specifically, we jump at a certain time once we hit the ground after we jump off this tower. As long as I get it, you'll see me accelerate a little bit, like that. And we can use that in different ways throughout the game. The primary one is what's called a grue bounce, and I'll be attempting it one time. I don't think there's a single runner out there that can get that 100% of the time. I usually get it about, a third of the time. But it has a really cool effect once you do get it. So we'll be coming up on the first actual magnetism of this game. It'll be a spider. And once we touch the spider, we'll be charging ourselves with blue magnetism. And we'll be standing in that field, and that'll allow us to repel ourselves upwards. Basically, basic magnetism, opposites attract, blue, red. Think of it as negative and positive polarities. And I just missed a trick there. That would allow us to get up there without having to wait for these spiders, but not really that big of a loss anyway. We'll be coming up on our first item, and that will allow us to charge different different objects in our environment with magnetism, either blue or red, respectively, depending on what we want. I keep on reaching down to split, and I know that's a pretty common thing for people who are running in marathons, but it's just such a habit at this point. So right here, you'll see me continue to use the gauntlets. Charge that with red so that we repel that block down. Charge that with red so it goes up. Here we're going to use this spider to charge ourselves with blue magnetism, and it'll allow us to kind of levitate in a way. This next section, it may not actually look it, but actually has extremely tight timing in order to get past one of these spiders without charging ourselves. Am I going to get it? No. Oh well. We're going to use this guy to float. Oh dear, I died. To float across. Like that. Rather than normally you would have to wait for the bridge to come down. And yeah.
Whoa.
These spiders are kind of devilish at first when you play this game. in this section especially. I remember it took me like 30 minutes just to get through that one little layer, because once you get charged with magnetism, the field will repel you into the electricity. So this is actually... Oh, I did not go flying into there. This'll... Go ahead. Donation's fine.
Okay. I was gonna say, does that actually, like, if you'd gotten that, would it have stopped you at the screen transition, or would it have let you keep going through?
It would have let me keep going through, and I could have flown into the scroll if I did it completely properly. This is the first boss. He's a garbage disposal, and we kill him by making him eat garbage, which makes a lot of sense. But basically, it's the rule of threes. Knock 3 boxes into him, he explodes, and he does something fancy like he spits fire, and then he speeds up the conveyor belt below us. And we have to do that a total of 3 times. What a magical thing in video games. There's one thing that we can do to speed this boss up, and no, I did not get it there. Let's see if I can. Basically, you have to stack up 2 boxes onto one another. Which is kind of difficult with the conveyor belt. I have this horrible habit of doing something completely unsafe where I want to land on all of these boxes, which is completely unnecessary and actually causes me to die far more often than I ever should in this game. But it's like a habit for some reason.
Got time for a quick donation?
Yeah, go for it.
We have a $5 donation from Chet Magongolo saying, thanks T-Lock for hosting a speedrunning event. The future is among us. Bernie Sanders 2016, no more memes.
No more memes. Be a horrible future. So,
thank you very much for that generous donation.
Yeah, thank you. This is our next item. First of all, we're going to pause buffer that. Or animation cancel it, not pause buffer. And that'll allow us to move afterwards. But these are the blink boots. They're pretty self-explanatory, but they'll allow us to do all kinds of really cool stuff, including the groove bounce that I'm talking about. Oh god, don't die. Oh, I didn't get it. But that is the idea of it, at least. You bounce up, and you can theoretically get into that third cage rather than having to go around like I just did. But that was actually the closest that you can possibly come without getting it, which I'm actually pleased about. So one of the cool things that you do with the blink boots is something called extended blink hitbox. And what that will allow us to do is trick the game into believing we came from a different direction than we actually did. So when I blink, you'll see a hitbox appear behind me. It's a little animation of where I was. And by toggling the analog stick, holding one direction and toggling it the other direction, we trick the game to thinking that we blinked from, say we blink from right to left. We trick the game into thinking we blinked from left to right. And that'll allow us to skip over a number of triggers, as well as also causing us to be able to grab scrolls through the walls. And that would be actually probably a good time to explain the scrolls. In order to complete this game, you need to normally collect 15 total scrolls in order to open up a door at the very bottom of this game. The reason that this is 15 scroll rather than any percent is because we actually found out that you can use extended blink hitbox, which I'll probably call EBH a decent amount of times from now on, to skip through that trigger. However, I've been running 15 scroll for several hundred more hours than I have any percent, so I tried running any percent and I just kept on collecting the scrolls, so I just continued running 15 scroll. So we'll be coming up on the second boss of the game, and that will be Faradaeus. He's a cage bird type boss. And we'll be demonstrating the first use of EBH here. We're going to skip a trigger to cause side doors to come down, so we'll be able to blink right through him in a second and then just completely skip over this boss. So long as I do this part. Oh, I did not. It's all good. So normally you EBH coming in and then going out. I didn't EBH at the right time. And that'll allow us to just go right through there and then collect this item, which is the cloak. That allows us to do what the spiders did and magnetize ourselves rather than having to wait for the spider. We can do all kinds of momentum tricks with this. Manipulating different things. This is actually the hardest section of the game in my opinion. And I didn't get that one right there. These set of glitches. There we go.
There we go.
I was practicing that before. I was telling Ghoul that I am inconsistent with that on different monitors, so I have to practice for a while after a time. I should have explained that. That's also a bounce. We use the spikes on the ground, the scrap, to bounce up into this section, and we can clip right through that, skipping over about a 2-minute forge section that is pretty much an auto-scroller, which was incredible. That was actually found completely by accident by a casual. That was really cool.
I love it when casual people find strats and speedruns. You're just like, oh, I never thought to do that. Like,
yeah.
It's always the most mundane things, too.
And they usually do it accidentally, too. It's just like, oh, that's amazing. Let's try that out. Actually, now I'll explain it later on, but I accidentally did an EBH within my first week of running this game, and then we figured out that EBH was a thing about a year or so later. So I accidentally did it and skipped over a section. So here we're going to be doing another EBH once I collect this scroll over to the top left. This is the most finicky of the extended blink hitboxes. We need to make sure that, I think that should be it. Otherwise they'll spawn on the other side and waste a whole bunch of time. Okay, I got it, so that's good. We'll be coming up on the third boss, Oleg. He is the, I guess you guys didn't see him because I did the trick right in the beginning. Normally he comes bursting out of a tower and chases us down. He's like the king's right-hand man, and you know, he's angry at you because he thinks that you killed his family or something. So he'll use his gun to try to shoot us with it repeatedly. Normally you would have to go up onto that top section and open up the doors and repel the bullets back into them, but we can stand at a very specific spot and repel it into his face through the door, through the little crack that he shoots it through. The first two of these cycles is completely set, but the third one is RNG, so we have to pause buffer to see, and that's blue, so there we go. That wasn't, we never thought about pause buffering that for a while. And I did that in one of my runs, just like, you basically had to guess. It was a 50-50 shot on what color he shot.
What happened if you shot the wrong one? Was it just...
You die. It accelerates towards you and you die pretty much instantly. But then I saw one of my friends do it, and he was playing casually, had never seen me do the boss before, and he just thought of doing that strat all by himself. And all three of them he did correctly. His first try on the boss. I was quite salty about it. So this is the hamster ball section. It's pretty standard. There's two tricks, and they're pretty obvious. They're when you go out of the hamster ball. Hello? Come on now. I can't get on top of it today. Oh, okay.
I take it it's not intended that you can stay on top of the hamster ball?
No, it's not intended, but it's also not intended. Like, there's nothing that stops you from being on top of it. Normally, I've been getting that pretty consistently, but I'm not going to waste much more time on this. This one is very simple. We just kind of skip by it, and we can just blink up here and shoot ourselves up. This last section, it was recently, probably about 2 weeks ago, found that you can do this pretty easily and fast without the hamster ball. But it's only about 2 seconds faster, and I really like the hamster ball.
It is pretty cute.
Yeah, it's nice. I usually play the hamster dance, if you guys remember that at all during this. It's usually a throwback for people. Alright. This room is pretty boring. There's not much going on. We just kind of blink through and hit things with our magnetism and repel ourselves. Nothing really new for this room. Yeah. Who's that? Coming up, we have the most annoying thing in this entire run. It's not annoying because it's hard. It's not annoying for any reason other than it's slow. This guy up here, his name is Richard. We call him Richard because he is a fucking dick. And I am sorry for the language, but holy God. We have been trying, I have spent probably around 60 to 80 hours just in this room trying to figure out a way to get past him because he walks over here, hits that one, walks back.
I mean, it looks like you have plenty of time to try to find something.
It's just, there has to be a way. There has to.
So as a quick reminder, we are raising money for a great cause. So if you get a chance, go check out the donate link. It's being posted in chat every now and then. I'll go ahead and post it in myself in just a little bit. But we are raising money for Cook Children's. It's a local children's hospital here in Dallas. So if you send in a donation with a cute little comment or something, I will read it and we will all be happy. So yeah, get those in.
So coming up, we're going to be doing a series of EBHs, actually. The first one is in this room right here. It'll allow us to collect that scroll up top, as long as I do it correctly. Yep. Through the wall. That's what I was talking about. It thought that the game thought that we blinked from the other direction, actually. This other one, normally you have to you have to race the scroll up to the top, and if you're fast enough, you're going to have to wait for it at the top. But instead, we just EBH through the wall and collect it like that. And so this is, come on, there we go. You can clip through that and reload, allowing you to skip probably like a 15-second section or so. The devs actually updated the game and somehow got rid of that clip, as well as one other small section. It lost probably around 20 seconds, and they watched enough of the speedruns that they heard us complaining about it and actually gave us a beta to opt into on Steam to downgrade to the old version and allow us to still do that clip. So that was really awesome. Great devs. We'll be collecting the last item of the game. It is the staff. It's just a ranged version of the gloves, pretty much. And we can use it as a weapon. We'll actually be able to kill things now, rather than having them kill themselves. This is my favorite boss. It uses all of the mechanics of the game, and when routed out properly, it's just fun. Plus I can do bounces back and forth. That's always fun. we basically take this guy. His name's Squarix Orb. He actually taught my race of people how to use magnetism and electricity, etc. But we basically irritate him to death with lasers. The first time I played through this game, I had a lot of trouble on that part. And when I got through it, when I fell, I assumed that I had won the boss fight, and I raised my arms in victory, and immediately was killed by one of these lasers. So you'll be seeing, we'll collect the last of the 15 scrolls that we need to coming up, even though you won't really see me use them, because I'm still going to use the door skip. It's 5 seconds faster anyway. Although, with this, it might not be. Okay. And it'll just open up the door, rather than us having to wait for it to, like, tick around and count the number of scrolls. Here, hold on. I'll explain it in a second because I can't do two things at once. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so there are 3 guys that come at you there, and it's hard for me to count and do anything else. Apparently, I'm not very good at multitasking. But if you just need to count the number of blinks, and then you can
use it as a spacing tool, kind of?
Yeah, pretty much. But I always have to count it out loud. I don't know why. It's, I guess, another habit playing this. So, at the very beginning of the game, you saw somebody carrying me. That's him right there. He's now dead. And the song that you're hearing right now is the same song you hear at the beginning of the game. And the name of the song is cleverly named Dad is Dead. So at the very beginning of the game, you actually are told that your dad dies, which is horrible, but very entertaining. There we go. All right. A lot of people will ask why in the world this guy up here, Oleg, after we fought him, why he's actually helping us. I have no idea. None whatsoever. We think that he contemplates his life and decides that you weren't responsible for his family's death. I don't really know. But he decides to help us, and it's a great plot device. So we're going to be coming up on the final boss of the game. And it's absolutely awful. Lots of RNG. There's a number of cycles that you can have. You can get up to 9 cycles. They'll cost you up to 7 seconds a piece, minimum of 3 of them, and it's just terrible. So actually, instead of doing that, we're just going to EBH right past him and not bother with him whatsoever. And that's time right here. And that's Teslagrad. That's a solid time. I'm happy with that.
Alrighty. Thank you very much for that run. Frozen Truly, we will be right back. Up next, we have Eternal Daughter by Azurinel. We're going to get set up on that, and we're going to be right